Chapter 44-42. The 5 black-robed men's expressions had a huge change, feeling that their dignity was being challenged as they bellowed malevolently, "You're looking for death." They all struck out in unison. 3 couples were right there, exchanging blows with the 5 black-robed men. The entire dense forest was filled with the surging majestic aura of profound waves. Whereas on the other side, Kitty Lee clenched her little claws as she stared intently at the battle. When she saw the precipitous situation, her little body kept on twisting, trying to struggle out of the man's embrace. But the arm around her waist was locked onto her tightly. Kitty Lee couldn't take it anymore as her little claws scratched Zhou Mo's arm. "Let go of Kitty. Kitty wants to go over and help." The man lowered his head slightly. His overly long black hair fell onto Kitty Lee's shoulder. The man's flirtatious thin lips curled up as he laughed lightly. "Little wild cat, be obedient and accompany me to watch the show, don't move around. If you're not going to help, Kitty will help." Kitty Lee puffed her cheeks. Looking at his companions fighting, Yi Zichen felt a chill. But she just stood by the side. How could she stand here with a clear conscience? Zhou Mo turned his head as he looked at the 2 people who were leaning against the tree with an indifferent expression. "Help? No need." Gue Wu didn't even lift his eyelids. "It's a rare chance to train." Zhou Mo looked at Ghost Thief. Ghost Thief touched the golden ingot on his waist as he shrugged. "What Gue Wu said is right." Zhou Mo retracted his gaze. "Heard that?" Kitty Lee pursed her lips. "Then Kitty also wants to train. But I can't bear to." Zhou Mo rubbed her head. "Be good, believe in the person whom your sister Qing Luo has chosen." While the 2 of them were talking, the other side was already locked in battle. The surrounding forest had already turned into ruins. Gravel flew everywhere as the trees fell onto the ground. The atmosphere was tense as the world group's few people's battle intent was burning even more vigorously. Just at this moment, Gue Wu's ears moved slightly as his expression congealed as he looked ahead. Ghost Thief also looked ahead at the same time. I didn't expect so many people to come." Zhou Mo looked over there as he clicked his tongue with an astonished look. Not far in front of them, a group of people and horses were charging over aggressively. Compared to the 5 people in front of him, these people's auras were much more tyrannical and ruthless. He rushed over with a murderous aura. His gaze fell on the few people who were fighting. This was just a prelude. Immediately after, countless men and horses, one group after another, walked over from not far away. The few people who were fighting each other realized that something was wrong and stopped. He surveyed his surroundings. They were all stunned. At this time, more teams were arriving one after another. Yan Xiaoyi immediately spotted a person in that group of people. Bai Mei. Among the various groups of people, there was a group of about 10 people standing in a position that was not too prominent. The person in the lead was a young, beautiful, and extremely charming woman in fluttering white clothes. From her posture, one could tell who she was with a single glance. Bai Mei changed her face again. The expressions of the few of them became extremely complicated. From her posture, one could tell who she was with a single glance. From her posture, one could tell who she was with a single glance. From her posture, one could tell who she was with a single glance. From her posture, one could tell who she was with a single glance. From her posture, one could tell who she was with a single glance. From her posture, one could tell who she was with a single glance. From her posture, one could tell who she was with a single glance. From her posture, one could tell who she was with a single glance. The expressions of the few of them immediately became extremely complicated. The few of them's expressions instantly turned extremely complicated. Beside his ear, Old Man Song's stern voice sounded. "This is the 8th level of purgatory. Don't think that you can underestimate the enemy just because you are strong now. The 8th level of purgatory is definitely not as simple as you think." Yi Qing Luo bit her lower lip tightly. He managed to dodge the beast's continuous attacks. She tried her best to restrain her emotions and calm herself down. She did not know how long she had stayed in the Purgatory Tower. He only knew, she went from the 4th level of the Purgatory to the 8th level. There was no interval in between, no rest. She had been trying her best to break through. Until the 7th level started. She was starting to feel exhausted. And now to the 8th level's arena. Chapter 44-44. Any slight carelessness. There was a high possibility of being hurt by this giant beast. If she was distracted again. This 8th floor, she might fail. No matter where this uneasiness came from. No matter what, she had to get through this hurdle. Her brothers were still waiting for her to return. She needed enough strength. Her brothers were working hard for her. She couldn't give up easily. She calmed down. After an hour of a prolonged battle of attrition, the Heavenly Dragon King's army finally arrived. Yiqing Luo finally defeated the 8th floor's giant beast. She rubbed her forehead tiredly and looked up at the totem that was flashing with the word 9. She shook her head, don't continue to the next floor. When Yiqing Luo walked out of the Purgatory Tower, Old Man Sung floated over from the side. Lass, do you need to rest? Yiqing Luo leaned against the side and sat down. I'm going out. What's the matter? Old Man Sung saw her serious expression and thought of her absent-minded state in the battle. Why did you absent-mindedly in the battle earlier? I'm panicking. Yiqing Luo pressed her heart. Is Ah Xian still outside? What could happen to the Overlord? He has been guarding you. Old Man Song had been watching Yiqing Luo's progress from the Azure Dew bracelet after chatting with DMO Xian. He thought Yiqing Luo missed DMO Xian too much because absence makes the heart grow fonder. Yiqing Luo shook her head. No, maybe, something happened to everyone. She had signed a contract with Kitty Li and Long Yunzhan. She could sense their condition. She suddenly had such a strong feeling of uneasiness. It must have something to do with them. Not waiting for Old Man Song to answer, her consciousness had already left the Azure Dew bracelet. The moment she opened her eyes, she saw DMO Xian's back facing her, looking at the sky in front. The air was filled with a cold and solemn atmosphere. She hadn't opened her mouth. The man seemed to have sensed something and turned around. Little Luo, He saw Yiqing Luo and opened his arms to her. You've worked hard. Seeing Yiqing Luo appear, he wasn't surprised at all. He seemed to have guessed that she would come out today. Yiqing Luo walked towards him, looked up and saw the man's tired expression. She reached out and wrapped her arms around his waist. Ah Xian, did something happen to them? Let's go over first. DMO Xian did not answer directly. But this sentence represented everything. Yiqing Luo's heart thumped hard. She suppressed the uneasiness in her heart. Okay. The two sat on Little Nine's back. He quickly headed in the direction of his brothers. He had yet to get close. Dense profound waves rippled in the air. It was as if it could destroy heaven and earth. The air had already been enveloped by this enormous profound wave. Sand and stones flew everywhere, and trees were uprooted one by one. Yiqing Luo's expression congealed. When Little Nine neared, the situation below was extremely clear. About 100 profound practitioners surrounded the few people in the middle in a frenzy. Even with the ghost martial artist, ghost bandit, and Zomo's protection, those people were still having a hard time. Their bodies were covered with sporadic bloodstains. It was no longer clear whether it was the blood of the other party or his own. His entire body was in a mess and he was in an extremely sorry state. But on the faces of those young people, however, it was an expression of unwavering determination and unwavering determination. Their eyes were burning with battle intent and flames, as if it could burn all beliefs. Bam! A strong airflow swept Huangfu Sheng and Gu Zixi out. The two fell heavily to the ground. Blood overflowed from the corners of their lips. But they didn't retreat at all. They stood up tightly and held the weapons in their hands tightly. Chapter 44-45. Zi Qing. Another cry was heard. Tong Zi Qing's figure was also sent flying as she fell heavily onto the ground. Long Yunzhan flew forward in an attempt to help Tong Zi Qing up. Tong Zi Qing's expression congealed. Group leader, be careful behind you. After Long Yunzhan helped Tong Zi Qing up, he hurriedly blocked the attacks from behind. This inevitably caused him to be injured on top of his own injuries. The other party's numbers were simply too many. Moreover, the disparity between their abilities and Long Yunzhan's group was extremely huge. Even if there were Ghost Marshal and Ghost Thief, plus Zhou Mo, they were unable to resist against so many people. It could be said, these young men and young ladies were already extremely lucky to be able to maintain till now and not die. Yi Qing Luo's eyes seemed to have been dyed with thick ink as it surged with surging waves. The World Group's brothers, after falling down, stood up again. After falling down, stood up again. Their entire bodies were covered in blood as it hurt Yi Qing Luo's eyes. Lil Luo, Dmo Xian held onto the young lady's shoulder as he spoke in a warm voice. They are all fine, this is a necessary path for them to grow. Yi Qing Luo's petite body was trembling slightly. The black whirlpool in her eyes was unable to be stopped. Suddenly, her gaze was fixed on a certain spot. A white-robed figure, in the midst of the chaos, speedily headed towards Long Yunzhan's direction. That figure's speed was extremely fast. His eyes were filled with a sinister coldness. A powerful sinister qi encircled that person's body, breaking through the surrounding people who were blocking his way. Charging straight towards Long Yunzhan. By Mei. Yi Qing Luo's pupils constricted as she gritted her teeth and spat out these two words. Following that, she leapt upwards as her figure speedily headed downwards. Lil Luo, Dmo Xian didn't catch hold of her as he watched the young lady charging into the crowd like a raging flame. Between his brows, he continued to reveal helplessness. He took a look at his sleeve as his gaze turned icy cold. Bai Su, if Bai Mei hurts Lil Luo, no matter what you say, it's useless. There seemed to be something moving in his sleeves. But there was no response. Bai Mei sneered coldly. She lowered her eyes and looked at the thing shrouded in black mist in her palm. Then, she looked at Long Yunzhan, who was supporting Tong Ziqing and doing his best to repel the profound practitioners in front of them. Her smile grew wider. It was getting closer, he was close. It was getting closer and closer. Bai Mei was so excited that her hands were trembling as she held the black mist. Amidst the chaotic battle, no one noticed her approach. Bai Mei raised her hand and placed it on Long Yunzhan's shoulder. Suddenly, a majestic force rushed over. He directly bumped into Bai Mei and Long Yunzhan. Bai Mei was knocked back 2 steps by the shockwave from the blast. A sharp blade grazed the skin of her wrist. Bright red blood gushed out. Bai Mei clutched her wrist in pain. The object shrouded in black fog in his palm also disappeared in an instant. Bai Mei gritted her teeth and glared in the direction of the attack. The first thing he saw was the young girl's beautiful and cold face. She was stunned at first, and then an uncontrollable jealousy and hatred appeared in her eyes. Following that, she raised her voice and shouted, Yi Qing Luo. I didn't expect you to show yourself. This shout of hers. It instantly caused the gazes of the profounders in the surroundings to shoot over in unison. Yi Qing Luo? It's the eldest young miss of the Gu residence? The person who owns the divine phoenix profound heart jade? And knows the secret of the divine emperor's tomb. Where? Everyone's gazes were directed towards Yi Qing Luo. Their eyes were filled with unconcealable greed. Hurry up and read the latest update. Download address, phone reading. Chapter 44-46. Those people's gazes seemed as though they wanted to swallow Yi Qing Luo into their stomachs. Bai Mei smiled coldly and curled her red lips. She was flirtatious and flirtatious. You still dare to appear? I thought that you wanted to monopolize the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade and then search for the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb alone. Monopolizing the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade? Finding the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb alone? These words immediately caused the surrounding crowd to burst into an uproar. What right do you have to monopolize the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade? Tell me the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb. Little girl, don't think that Bone Lord can guarantee your safety just because you're the first young lady of the Gu residence. If you're sensible, quickly hand over the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade. Countless curses and threats rose and fell one after another. Those forces that had always thought highly of themselves and called themselves reputable and noble families didn't even try to conceal their greed. Pucci, Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but laugh out. Amidst the curses and threats, the young girl's laughter was extremely abrupt. Everyone looked at each other in bewilderment at his laughter. What are you laughing at? A powerful person shouted in a low voice. Me. Yi Qing Luo's pink lips curled up slightly with a chilly smile. I'm laughing at your stupidity. You. Everyone's expression changed drastically as they glared at the girl in front of them. Who would have thought that she would still be so daring when surrounded by so many people? Facing the infuriated gazes of the crowd, Yi Qing Luo's brows were filled with laziness as her expression didn't change at all. She smiled coldly and continued, if you weren't stupid, why would you ask such a stupid question? As she spoke, the young girl's gaze swept across the crowd and she laughed mockingly. What right do I have to monopolize the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade? Just based on the fact that the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade is mine. It's my stuff. What can you do to me? This sentence was also an indirect admission. She did indeed possess the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade. Everyone's gazes towards Yi Qing Luo became even more fiery. Bai Mei quietly retreated to the back of the crowd. Hearing Yi Qing Luo's words, he looked at the gazes of the people around him. Her red lips curled into a proud smile. Did this Yi Qing Luo really think that she could ignore all the cultivators just because she was an overlord? She actually admitted that the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade was with her. What does stupidity mean? This is what you call stupid, right? Heh, Yi Qing Luo is dead meat today. She would just stand right here and admire Yi Qing Luo's pathetic state and humiliation before her death. The more Bai Mei thought about it, the more excited she became. It was as if he had already seen the scenes that he had imagined appearing in front of his eyes. Suddenly, the girl's indifferent voice rang out again, stop looking. No matter how you look, what's mine won't be yours. As for the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb, where did you hear about it? Everyone was infuriated by Yi Qing Luo's arrogant and rude words. One by one, they glared at her with gloomy expressions. Little girl, I advise you to be obedient. Don't talk nonsense. You'll be the one who suffers in the end. Don't try to quibble. Tell him the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb. You're a young lady, even if you keep this secret, it's of no use to you. Numerous threats, persuasions and coercive words came one after another. This made everyone immediately look towards Yi Qing Luo in alarm. It is not that they are easily swayed. Instead, it was because they had to prioritize their own interests. They could not afford to make any mistakes. He would rather kill the wrong person than let him go. As for the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade, everyone had only heard of its uses. But he had never truly come into contact with it. Because of this, he was unable to determine whether what Bai Mei had said was true or false. Regardless of whether it was true or not, they couldn't afford to gamble. Bai Mei was surrounded and forced to reveal the location of the Divine Emperor's tomb. There were also people who speedily attacked Yi Qing Luo. They absolutely could not give Yi Qing Luo any chance to activate the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade. Qing Luo, be careful. Attacks from all directions surged over. Yen Xiaoyi and the others were trembling in fear as they hurriedly reminded her. Chapter 44-48. Huge profound wave with majestic power. Countless illusory attacks formed a monstrous wave. Yi Qing Luo took a look at Long Yunzhan and Tong Ziqing, who were blocked behind her. She couldn't shift her body. Otherwise, the two people behind her would have to bear the attacks from all directions. Yi Qing Luo's eyes turned cold as she raised her right hand. A flame bloomed on her fingertips. A fiery feather fan appeared on her fingertips. Contrasting with those slender white fingers, it was extremely fair and beautiful. Swoosh, everyone only heard an explosive sound in the air. Their eyes were covered by the sky full of raging flames. Bam! The earth quaked and the mountains shook. The violent energy directly collided with those cultivators' attacks. In midair, two powerful forces collided. Yi Qing Luo's body slightly retreated 2 steps. Her face was slightly pale. But her fingertips exerted more force as she gripped the handle of the fan tightly. Facing these strong cultivators from Heaven Realm and various powerhouses. If it was one-on-one, she wouldn't be so worried. But the other party was moving like a bee pupa. Just at this moment, a majestic aura rushed into the two forces. As the profound wave surged, the sky seemed to sweep out one after another whirlpool. That burst of force joined in. In an instant, a huge profound wave was produced, like layers upon layers of ripples, spreading in all directions. He easily suppressed all the attacks in the surroundings. The violent hurricane obediently stopped after coming into contact with the ripple-like undulations. The aftershock caused the group of cultivators who launched the attack to be jolted back 2 steps, spitting out a large mouthful of blood. And what was shocking was, after the rippling Xian wave shook off the countless Xian waves, it lingered around the girl in the fiery red dress. With the young lady as the center, it swept around the surroundings. It didn't go near the young lady at all. The group of cultivators who were injured were stunned. What kind of situation was this? Why didn't that unstoppable force attack Yi Qing Luo? Damn, could it be that it depended on one's looks? No. Not right. Look at the sky. It's a 9-tailed fox. 9-tailed fox. Suddenly, cries of panic erupted from the crowd. Countless people subconsciously looked towards the sky. Then, he saw the 9-tailed fox in the sky. His 9 tails swayed in the wind. It also shook the hearts of the crowd. 9-tailed fox, this was the 9-tailed fox that was known as the divine beast. In the entire world, there was only one person who had it. That person was the mysterious and powerful person who was respectfully called Venerable Sovereign. The people from the various forces suddenly recalled the words of the Huangfu clan's young masters and ladies a few days ago. Divine Phoenix, Profound Heart Jade? The tomb of the Divine Emperor? It must be true. That little bitch relied on this to attract Sir Dizun. If it wasn't for the Divine Phoenix, Profound Heart Jade and the Divine Emperor's tomb, how could the dignified Dizun fall in love with a lowly trash from the lower domain? I was wondering why Lord Dizun would be with her. It must be because that little B***TCH used the Divine Phoenix, Profound Heart Jade and the Divine Emperor's tomb to seduce Lord Dizun. Similar words were said by the Huangfu family. At that time, there were quite a number of forces who gave up on the Divine Phoenix, Profound Heart Jade and the Divine Emperor's tomb because of the Overlord. They had not expected that. Lord Dizun really appeared. In order to save a lady, he appeared. The crowd was even more certain that what the Huangfu family's young masters and ladies said was true. Update complete. Moi. My babies, now activate the double monthly votes mode. At the end of the month, those babies with monthly votes love you guys. End of this chapter. Chapter 44-49. Under everyone's gaze. That 9-tailed fox slowly landed. Everyone also clearly saw the peerless figure sitting on the back of the 9-tailed fox. A man in a flowing purple robe was lazily leaning on the soft fur of the nine-tailed fox. His luxurious and majestic posture was filled with a domineering and sharp, strong aura. After the nine-tailed fox landed, the man moved slightly. It was like a sharp, unsheathed blade, emitting a terrifying, evil aura. His peerlessly handsome face was cold and sharp, revealing a sharp and callous coldness. Everyone knew. The golden half-mask was the symbol of the Overlord. But now, even if the man didn't wear a mask, everyone was sure that this was the Overlord himself. Overlord. Everyone gasped, facing this mysterious and noble man. There was an inexplicable feeling of fear in their hearts. Dmo Xian leaped down from the nine-tailed fox. His every move was noble and elegant. He didn't bother about these people in front of him, whose faces were perturbed or sunken. His gentle gaze fell on Yiqing Luo. His coquettish thin lips hooked up slightly, stretched out a hand towards the young lady's direction. Yiqing Luo sensed that the profound wave which was like a ripple was spreading in the surroundings. She already knew. This was Dmo Xian's move. Her eyes looked at her man without blinking. Her eyes were filled with excitement. Deep in her heart, she was extremely calm about Dmo Xian's strength. How strong was he? His strength had exceeded her expectations. This man was her man. Yiqing Luo's eyes were burning with unswerving determination, becoming more and more intense. The stronger her man was, the more excited she was. Her goal was to walk side by side with Dmo Xian. One day, she would be able to achieve her wish. Yiqing Luo's lips curled up as she pounced towards the direction of Dmo Xian. The man held the young lady's slender wrist, and firmly brought the young lady into his arms. Yiqing Luo wrapped her arms around the man's waist, and was about to speak. Suddenly a few rays of profound light flashed in front of her. Yiqing Luo's expression changed immediately. Xian. She moved her 5 fingers, and the devouring flame fan swept up a hurricane, heading straight for the direction of the profound light. Someone actually took advantage of this moment to quietly make a move behind Dmo Xian's back. Bang, boom, boom, boom. The hurricanes collided, and the profound light exploded, creating a cold and tyrannical airwave. It was like a huge mouth with its fangs and claws wide open, ready to swallow people. Dmo Xian clasped the young lady's waist tightly as he pulled her into his arms and leapt into the air. He sneered. His obsidian-like eyes were filled with a piercing coldness. His sleeves fluttered in the wind. A terrifying aura shot out from his sleeve. Several screams rang out. He didn't even have time to react. That aura had already landed in the direction where the mysterious light came from. More than 10 profound practitioners fell to the ground with a plop. More than 10 of them turned pale as they pointed at Dmo Xian in disbelief. He had just raised his hand. Suddenly, a look of intense pain appeared on his face. Following that, his body fell straight down. Someone stepped forward and touched the nose of the man who had fallen down. His face turned pale as he looked at the crowd. Dead, dead, dead. Everyone's heart thumped. Their gazes turned towards Dmo Xian in unison. The man's cold aura, and the overbearing profound wave that no one dared to approach, made the man's noble and unattainable. Chapter 4450. This interlude made everyone stop the idea of sneak attacking the Overlord. For a moment, the entire heaven border ridge fell into a dead silence. After a moment of silence, Yiqing Luo looked at the brothers below. She patted Dmo Xian's arm and looked at those brothers. No one opened their mouths. Dmo Xian understood what she meant as he released the hand which was around her waist. The young lady was like a flame as she landed on the ground. Following her footsteps, the broken stones and grass on the ground made a rustling sound. The crowd didn't move as they stared at Yiqing Luo's actions. But no one made a move. Yiqing Luo walked slowly to Long Yunzhan's side. She first pulled Tong Ziqing's wrist and took her pulse. After ascertaining that there was nothing serious, her fingertips touched her fingers and a bottle of pills was taken out as she passed it to Long Yunjian. Qing Luo. Tong Ziqing's lips were still oozing blood and her usual cold eyes were sparkling. Yi Qing Luo smiled at her. It's been hard on you guys. Take a rest and leave the rest to me and Xian. Her vision looked towards the side, standing on the same spot, staring at her in a daze as their eyes were burning with passion. Yi Qing Luo walked towards them. Each of them took a pulse and were given a bottle of pills. Luckily, Gui Wu, Ghost Thief and Zhou Mo were around. They only suffered external injuries and slightly more serious internal injuries. But it wasn't to the extent of incurable. Everyone, including Gui Wu and the other two, confirmed their identities. She then heaved a sigh of relief. Your energy has recovered. Yan Xiaoyi looked at Yi Qing Luo taking out bottles of pills from the profound phoenix ring as she was extremely excited. It was able to establish a connection with the profound phoenix ring. This represented that Yi Qing Luo's energy had completely recovered. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled upwards as she smiled sweetly. Yes, so. Have a good rest. I still need you guys to fight alongside me. Little Qing Luo, aren't you worried that they are interested in the things on you? Zhou Mo's brows rose as his peach blossom eyes revealed a sense of ridicule. Yi Qing Luo turned her head as her gaze swept past the few brothers beside her. After hearing Zhou Mo's words, the expressions of the few of them became visibly tense. Kitty Lee's eyes widened as she punched Zhou Mo's chest with her little claws. What nonsense are you talking about? How could we? I trust them. The girl's firm tone interrupted Kitty Lee's words. Her smile was brilliant, and her charming eyes curved into a long and narrow arc. They value me more than I value myself. Besides, if they really want me, I won't hesitate to offer them up with both hands. Qing Luo. The few of them were stunned by Yi Qing Luo's words. They knew. If Yi Qing Luo said it out, then it meant that this was indeed what she was thinking. He offered it with both hands, such a valuable item. She was actually willing to give it to them with both hands. The girl's smile was as beautiful as a painting. Like a warm current, it seeped into everyone's hearts. Their restless hearts calmed down in that instant. They looked at each other and smiled. The originally stiff, oppressive, and suffocating atmosphere. The group in the middle of the crowd was extremely relaxed and warm. The two completely different atmosphere blended together. The crowd only felt fear and trepidation. Chapter 44-51. Finally, someone could not hold it in any longer. He plucked up his courage and carefully looked at Dmo Xian. His voice trembled as he said, Lord Dmo Xian, could it be that you really want to obtain the divine phoenix profound heart jade and the secret of the divine emperor's tomb? That person's words immediately caused everyone to turn their gazes toward that person. Who would have thought that someone would be so bold as to question the overlord directly? The profound practitioner who had been pushed out by his clan's leader also had an expression of wanting to cry, and he was so terrified that his entire body was trembling. However, due to the threatening gaze of the leader of the faction, he could only stare at him. That profound practitioner had no choice but to muster up his courage and speak again. Lord Dizun, you are already a revered existence in the heaven realm, and your strength has already exceeded the scope of the heaven realm. Why don't you give us the divine phoenix profound heart jade and the divine emperor's tomb? The man's voice was trembling non-stop. Every single word was trembling. Hearing this question, Yi Qing Luo, who was standing together with her brothers, raised her eyes slightly as she looked at that cultivator. Her long and narrow brows were sparkling with a biting cold glint. Yi Qing Luo's gaze was piercingly cold. That profound practitioner felt uncomfortable from the piercing gaze. He rubbed his hands together and said, Don't you want to know the answer? Don't you want to know why the overlord is with you? I don't want to. Yi Qing Luo replied without hesitation. The expression on her face didn't change at all. Are you scared? The man was so nervous that his face turned red. Are you afraid that His Majesty's answer will hurt you? That's why you don't dare. When he asked this question, the leader of the faction had made up his mind to break the trust between the two of them. Regardless of whether the overlord answered the question or not. Or answer the question. Yiqing Luo would absolutely suspect DMO Xian because of this. As long as Yiqing Luo started to suspect DMO Xian, the feelings between the two of them could not be shaken. Everyone prioritizes benefits above all else. Goading? Yiqing Luo raised her brows as she laughed foolishly. Are you silly? Why should I trust a fool like you and suspect my own man? She wasn't stupid. And because of a single sentence from them, they had instigated discord between her and DMO Xian. At their level, it was nothing compared to what he had encountered in the double-sided lake of the illusory heart. She had never suspected DMO Xian at the double-sided lake. Not to mention now. That person's face turned red. The gaze of the master of power behind him was like a sharp knife, forcing him, urging him to act. Don't ask such rubbish. Yiqing Luo's gaze slowly swept past the surrounding forces. The girl's black hair fluttered in the wind. Her fiery dress fluttered in the wind. There was a hint of indolence on that gorgeous face, and it was incomparably cold and elegant. Then, her pink lips moved slightly and she said word by word, what belongs to me, as long as Xian wants it, I will give it to him. This sentence was also a clear message to the crowd. Whether DMO Xian wanted her divine phoenix profound heart jade or not. As long as he asked, he would definitely give it to her. Don't talk about any other bullshit conspiracy theories. He didn't like it. Everyone's faces turned extremely ugly. He didn't expect this young girl to not play by the rules. At this moment, the purple-robed man suddenly moved and pulled the young girl into his arms. Her back was pressed against his chest. Scorching hot. The man lowered his eyes, his gaze was gentle and his voice was magnetic. Yes, Lil Luo's things are also this lord's things. Chapter 44-52. His hand slowly circled to Yiqing Luo's chest. Slender fingers pressed on her heart. The man's fingertips were gentle, the scorching touch passed through the robe to the skin. Yiqing Luo slightly raised her head to look at him. Her face was reflected in the man's obsidian-like eyes. His thin lips lightly hooked. If this lord wants, just take it, right? As his voice fell, his slender fingers even gently flicked her heart, causing the young lady's petite body to tremble slightly. Yes. Yiqing Luo held his hand, her eyes firm, without any other emotions. DMO Xian chuckled softly. The boiling hot chest behind her was also shaking up and down. This laugh, made by Mei, who was besieged by a group of people, couldn't help but burst out laughing. Yiqing Luo. You really think that the overlord has taken a liking to you? Ha ha ha. You still foolishly send yourself up. What's yours is his, he just wants to dig away your profound heart jade. You poor woman. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The overlord doesn't love you, he doesn't love you at all. By Mei's sharp voice, straining her throat to laugh non-stop. Yiqing Luo. This girl must have been so agitated that she became stupid, right? But DMO Xian's action, indeed, would cause others to misunderstand the meaning of his words. Probably. In the eyes of outsiders, DMO Xian placed his hand on her profound heart jade. Wanted to dig away her profound heart jade? Yiqing Luo expressed. This guy was purely trying to take advantage of her. And it was openly taking advantage of her. Under Bai Mei's exaggerated laughter. Under everyone's suspicious gazes. DMO Xian hugged the slender waist of the person in his arms tightly. His voice was clear but extremely dignified. So, she belongs to this lord. Whoever dares to touch her is going against this lord. When this sentence came out from DMO Xian's mouth, the entire dense forest fell into a dead silence. Bai Mei, who was laughing crazily, stopped abruptly. Like a huge slap, ruthlessly slapped on her face. Dmo Xian was simply. He was using his status to pressure everyone present. He wanted to become enemies with the entire world for Yiqing Luo. This sentence also successfully blackened the faces of several large forces at the front. Lord Dizun, we all know that your strength is extraordinary and you are an admirable hero. But, Lord Dizun, you're here alone today. Why do you have to ruin everyone's friendship for a woman? One of the leaders said with a cold expression. Dmo Xian's words had already expressed his attitude. If he didn't show up now, he would be dead. He was afraid that he would really silently agree to let Dmo Xian monopolize the divine phoenix profound heart jade. All profound practitioners wanted to obtain divine objects. Everyone wanted to enter the Tianya Ridge. Every faction had lost more than half of their elites. Therefore, no one wanted to give up so easily. That faction leader's words were immediately met with agreement from several other faction leaders. Dmo Xian faintly glanced at the direction of the voice and replied expressionlessly, "This lord has never been a hero." That faction leader's face turned red from being choked. Yiqing Luo waved her glower flame fan impatiently. "Your words, are you openly declaring war with Maya Xian? Since that's the case, then there's nothing more to say, let's fight directly." There was a type of person who wouldn't shed a tear until they saw the coffin. Did they think that they could suppress Dmo Xian with their numbers? Heh, naive. Hurry up and read the latest updates. Download address, phone reading. Chapter 44-53. Did her baby Ah Xian look so easy to bully? Yi Laki Qing Luo hugged her man's arm and pointed to the direction of the powerhouse who spoke earlier. "Ah Xian, kill him." The various powerhouses. She said it so arrogantly, directly provoking all the powerhouses. She actually pushed the overlord to make a move. They thought that she really had the guts to go against them. In the end, it was because of the overlord that she dared to be so arrogant. In the eyes of the powerhouses, Yiqing Luo's current action was just like a young lady who relied on the overlord to bully others. All of them looked at Yiqing Luo with even more disdain. The divine phoenix profound heart jade on such a person was simply a waste of a treasure. But the overlord was obviously interested in that divine phoenix profound heart jade. If they really wanted to get the divine phoenix profound heart jade, they must first get past the overlord. If it was just the divine phoenix profound heart jade, most of the people present would probably back off. After all, for a piece of divine phoenix profound heart jade, they would become enemies with the overlord. Then there must be a hole in their brains. But Yiqing Luo not only had a piece of divine phoenix profound heart jade, and the secret of the divine emperor's tomb. The divine emperor's tomb. As long as they could get the secret of the divine emperor's tomb, and open the secret of the divine emperor's tomb, there was a possibility that they could surpass all living things in this world. They could become the next emperor of divine emperors. By then, why would they be afraid of Dmo Xian? They couldn't just give up like this. Absolutely not. The greed and unwillingness in everyone's eyes were obvious to Yiqing Luo. Her pink lips curled up into an indecipherable cold arc. Dmo Xian's eyes were filled with adoration as he gazed at the lovely girl in his arms. His large palm gently caressed the young lady's hair as he spoke in a deep, magnetic voice. "All right. Just one word." The crowd instantly felt as though their hearts were beating a drum. Following that, they saw that godlike man gently placed the young lady beside the group of young men and ladies. After that, with a leap, he floated in midair. The shimmering and resplendent purple light swept across the sky in a graceful manner. Boom! A profound wave exploded with a loud rumble. The surging energy in the air began to surge violently. The sudden burst of power caused the people from the other factions to be stunned for quite some time before they reacted. He hurriedly called for people to defend. However, no matter how fast they moved, they were still unable to move. No matter how strong he was. When Dmo Xian's sleeves fluttered, the dark light filled the entire space. They were powerless to resist. The smell of blood and slaughter lingered in the air. As for the faction that had threatened them first, they were all shocked. The endless vortex opened its bloody mouth. Ah, a blood-curdling scream came from the vortex. That side, which was originally full of ambition, attempting to use the power of numbers to threaten Dmo Xian's forces, seemed to have seen the Grim Reaper, brandishing its scythe to reap lives. Slash after slash, he reaped their lives. The majestic Xian wave spread out majestically. The other forces quickly moved away to avoid it. The scene of him dodging in a flurry. It was like a slap landing on the face of the faction that was being swallowed by the vortex. Still thinking of relying on the power of numbers? Wasn't this, in an instant, whatever power, was all gone? After the blood-curdling scream stopped. Only then did the surging vortex dissipate bit by bit. End of this chapter. Chapter 44-54. Earlier, there were about 20 to 30 people standing in the air. Right now, there was only a huge deep pit. And the remnant might rippled out, vibrating in the air. Not a single figure could be seen. That powerhouse's men were completely annihilated. Just one move. One move and an entire group of people disappeared. Everyone's hearts were beating like thunder, thumping non-stop. The moment Dmo Xian appeared. It was a show of strength, directly killing those cultivators who attempted to sneak an attack. Following that, because of a sentence from Yiqing Luo. Striking again, it was another instant kill. Did he really not care that he would incur the wrath of the masses? Was he really not afraid that they would join forces with the three realms to deal with him? Everyone's hearts, at this moment, were completely stunned by Dmo Xian's unhesitant massacre. After Dmo Xian stopped, he turned around and returned to Yiqing Luo's side, pulling the young lady into his arms. His body was emitting a chilly aura. Yiqing Luo's arms circled around his waist, as she smiled, "My man is so handsome." If she didn't kill the chicken to warn the monkey, those people totally had no idea what to do, and would only continue to harass them. They chose to be greedy. They chose to be greedy, to be the first bird to stick out. They should pay the price for their own choice. Dmo Xian rubbed the young lady's little head. "Let's go." Yiqing Luo nodded, as she beckoned her brothers to leave. After the deaths of the two powerhouses, everyone's hearts were burning with anxiety, as they wanted to stop them. But when they saw the huge deep pit, and the 10 over corpses by the side, they were so afraid that they didn't dare to move forward. They could only watch the group of people, as they swaggered past in front of their eyes. The direction they were heading towards, the group of people who had surrounded them, couldn't help but shift their footsteps, as they opened up a path. No matter how the surrounding people, no matter how resentful they were, or how many threatening gazes they shot at them, that group of people, still obediently opened up a path for Yiqing Luo and her group. And just at this moment, a furious bellow rang, "Huang Fu Sheng, if you dare to follow her, you will no longer be a member of my Huang Fu family." This explosive bellow. Everyone was so shocked that they all looked in that direction. Not far away, a middle-aged man in his 40s walked out from a group of people. His eyes were filled with malice as he stared in the direction that the group had left. The man wore a navy blue brocade robe and looked dignified and noble. Everyone in the surroundings recognized the identity of the middle-aged man with a glance, the current patriarch of the Huangfu clan, Huangfu Zhangdong. Only then did everyone remember. Among Yiqing Luo's entourage, there was Huangfu family's young master who had just returned. Huangfu Sheng. Chapter 44-55. He didn't care. So no matter how the other party slandered him, it wouldn't affect him. But, did he really not care? Gu Zishi wanted to ask this question. But when she saw the young man's solemn face and solemn expression, in the end, she swallowed her words. She knew Xing better than anyone else. The only thing she could do was to stay by his side. Huangfu Xing met Huangfu Zhangdong's eyes indifferently. Looking at Huangfu Zhangdong's fierce expression, there was no emotion on his face. So, what do you want me to do? Huangfu Zhangdong actually felt a heavy pressure assaulting him with just a single glance from him. Huangfu Zhangdong's face darkened. He didn't want to admit that he was scared by a bastard. He snorted coldly. You are a member of my Huangfu clan. You should listen to the arrangements of the Huangfu clan. Hurry up and come back. Huangfu Xing chuckled softly. Huangfu Zhangdong's face darkened. What are you laughing at? Before Huangfu Xing could answer, a person walked out from the Huangfu clan's team. Father. That person was Huangfu Dongyu. He moved closer to Huangfu Zhangdong's ear and whispered a few words. Huangfu Zhangdong's eyes lit up. He immediately looked at Huangfu Sheng. Huangfu Sheng, I heard that you have a close relationship with the first miss of the Gu residence. Since that's the case, you will represent the Huangfu clan and ask the first miss of the Gu residence to reveal the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb to the public. He was also a smart person. He didn't ask Huangfu Sheng to quietly tell the Huangfu clan about the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb. Because he knew that he and Huangfu Sheng had always been at odds. Huangfu Sheng wouldn't listen to him. He said this now just to guide the firepower of those forces to Huangfu Sheng. It was also to announce his attitude to those forces. As expected. When Huangfu Zhangdong said this, the eyes of the people from the surrounding forces burned with a strong flame of greed. They all looked at Huangfu Sheng. You. Gu Zishi was so angry that her face turned red. She wanted to scold Huangfu Zhangdong for being despicable and shameless. Her small hand was held by Huangfu Sheng. Huangfu Sheng squeezed her palm. Gu Zishi bit her lips hard and declared her emotions with her eyes. Huangfu Sheng was much calmer. He indifferently looked at Huangfu Changdong, then at Huangfu Dongyu's complacent smile. It's not impossible to know the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb. Huangfu Zhangdong's expression instantly froze. The smile on Huangfu Dongyu's face froze. Two pairs of eyes stared at him in disbelief. Huangfu Sheng was actually willing to help them find out the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb? Then why did he just say, make it public? To hell with making it public. As long as he could obtain the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb. Their Huangfu clan would definitely be able to suppress the Heaven Realm's 4 great clans. Why would they still need to be one of the 4 great clans? They were unique existences that everyone revered. When Huangfu Zhangdong recalled what he said earlier about making it public, he really wanted to give his eldest son a slap. Huangfu Dongyu naturally felt his father's anger. He had not expected that Huangfu Sheng would choose to betray Yi Qing Luo for the Huangfu family status. He put on a black face and pretended to appease his father. Father, he might have said this on purpose and then purposely raised some conditions which you are unable to fulfill, so as to force you to back off. Huangfu Zhangdong's face sunk as he looked at Huangfu Dongyu. Then he looked at Huangfu Sheng and asked sternly, what request do you have? End of this chapter. Chapter 44-56. Huangfu Sheng said word by word, I want you to bring my mother's memorial tablet back to Huangfu Ancestral Hall. He only found out after he returned to Huangfu family. Because his mother left with his father and after she died, even the memorial tablet wasn't allowed to enter Huangfu family. In addition to that, his father committed suicide by drowning himself in the river because of the treasure-gathering auction house. Not to mention protecting his mother's memorial tablet. For so many years. His mother's memorial tablet was secretly placed in his own courtyard by his grandfather. Even if his mother had never thought of returning to Huangfu family. But now, he was back. Here, there was a piece of place which belonged to his mother. Hearing Huangfu Sheng's request, Huangfu Zhangdong's expression congealed and turned extremely ugly. Huangfu Dongyu immediately sneered, it's easy for you to think. It was your mother who left Huangfu family with a wild man. From the moment she left, she wasn't fit to be a member of Huangfu family. You're just a bastard and you want to bring your mother's memorial tablet back to Huangfu family? Next request, is it the position of Huangfu family's patriarch? Huangfu Dongyu understood his father's thinking very well. Because he valued the position of patriarch too much. Huangfu Zhangdong couldn't even trust his own son wholeheartedly. He naturally understood how to provoke Huangfu Zhangdong's disgust and disgust towards Huangfu Sheng. As expected. When Huangfu Zhangdong heard his eldest son's words, his expression and gaze became extremely sharp. On the other side, after seeing the Huangfu family's people appear, someone's mood was obviously not right. Especially after hearing Huangfu Zhangdong's words. That person's mood was even more intense. Yiqing Luo glanced at the people in the crowd and raised her slender brows slightly, not intending to go over. In response to her, there was only silence. Yiqing Luo retracted her gaze and didn't say another word. Even friends had no right to comment on this kind of matter. After all, she didn't know what had happened back then. Qing Luo, aren't you worried that he will really ask you about the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb? Tong Ziqing wasn't too familiar with Huangfu Sheng. He won't. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. He has really grown a lot. If it was the previous Pei Sheng, how could he possibly dare to face the might of Huangfu Zhangdong's family head? Looking at the smile on Yiqing Luo's lips, Tong Ziqing tactfully did not speak again. From Yiqing Luo's eyes, she could tell. Huangfu Sheng was also a friend whom she, Yiqing Luo, recognized. Since he was someone Qing Luo had set her eyes on, they would also believe him unconditionally. If he doesn't tell me your secret, that person won't let him go. A cold and tense voice came from behind. Xiao Jin's face was ice cold, his expression tense, and somewhat strangely terrifying. Yan Shaoyi gently held his arm, her expression helpless, and could only comfort him silently. Since he dared to say that, he must have thought of a countermeasure. Yiqing Luo wasn't worried at all. If Huangfu Zhangdong doesn't let Xing off, as his cousin, you will also step forward, isn't that so? Perhaps it was the word cousin that caused Xiao Jin to be startled. He opened his mouth to retort, but his words were stuck in his throat. His expression became increasingly unsightly. Yiqing Luo only curled her lips, and following that, her gaze fell back onto Huangfu Sheng. Huangfu Sheng still maintained a calm attitude. As towards Huangfu Dongyu's slander, he couldn't be bothered to explain anything. He only waited quietly for Huangfu Zhangdong's reply. Update complete, my babies. Happy New Year. This was the third New Year that Master Mo and everyone had crossed. From 2016 to 2017, from 2017 to 2018. Now, from 2018, let's cross over to 2019. I hope that in 2020, we can continue to meet Master Mo's new book, Hedonist Profound Musician, Evil Lord, Don't Flirt, and continue to cross the new year together. To be able to gain your love, is my lifetime's honor. Love you, my Mo family heirlooms. End of this chapter. Chapter 44-57. And such a silence. It made those who were still waiting for the answer. How would they have the mood to wait for both of them to remain silent? What happened to announcing it to the public? At once, they couldn't help but urged. Isn't it just a spirit tablet? Sending it to the ancestral hall in exchange for the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb, why not? Patriarch Huangfu, surely you're not willing to let him tell us the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb, so you're doing this on purpose? Patriarch Huangfu, you're not being kind. It's you who asked him to reveal the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb to the public, but now you're not willing? Are you making fun of us? Everyone addressed him as you, but from their attitude, there wasn't a single bit of respect towards him. Huangfu Zhangdong's face flushed red from the crowd's words. He clenched his teeth as he snapped, all right. As long as you tell me the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb, I can agree to your request. He intentionally paused for a moment when he interrupted his sentence. The glint in his eyes was obviously hinting to Huang Fusheng. He wanted Huang Fusheng to come up with an excuse to fool the other forces. And to quietly tell him the real answer. But apparently, Huang Fusheng didn't understand his intention. He curled his thin lips as he looked at the crowd. Everyone should have heard Patriarch Huang Fu's words clearly. As long as I tell you the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb, Patriarch Huang Fu will take my mother's token and enter the Huang Fu Ancestral Hall. Right, right, right. We can all testify. Don't worry, Patriarch Huang Fu won't dare to lie to you. Hurry up and say it. Don't keep us guessing. The group of people urged him on. Huang Fu Zhangdong's eyes widened bit by bit. His fingers clenched into a fist shape nervously. Huang Fusheng looked back at Yi Qing Luo who was behind him. Meeting the young lady's smiling encouraging gaze. His flustered heart suddenly calmed down. He closed his eyes as his lips curled up tightly, his eyes looking at Huang Fu Zhangdong indifferently as he said word by word, the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb. Didn't Ah Luo say it very clearly earlier? It's her. Bai Mei from the Dark Shadow Palace who took away the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb. Huang Fusheng raised his hand and pointed at Bai Mei. I'm guessing that the Palace of Gloomy Darkness wants to use Ah Luo to attract your attention, and then secretly study the secrets of the Emperor God's tomb. What Huang Fusheng said was true. But, Huang Fu Zhangdong's face instantly darkened. What kind of answer was that? They all knew that Bai Mei had stolen the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb. The same words, Yi Qing Luo had already said it once earlier. As if he had seen through Huang Fu Zhangdong's thoughts, Huang Fusheng said indifferently, Ah Luo did say that, but you don't believe it. If you don't believe it, there's nothing I can do. If it was only Yi Qing Luo who said that. They really didn't believe it. Moreover, when the group of people attacked Bai Mei and searched her body, they did not find anything related to the Divine Emperor's tomb. But, now, Huang Fusheng was repeating the same thing in this situation. Everyone could not help but suspect Bai Mei. You're in cahoots with Yi Qing Luo, that slut. You're talking rubbish. Bai Mei screamed hysterically. What she had experienced earlier had already made her suffer humiliation. Those people's hands kept wandering around her body. And some of them were not searching for the secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb at all. They were purely taking advantage of her. His purple robe fluttered like flowing clouds, and a wisp of white shadow could be vaguely seen swaying. Before Yi Qing Luo had the chance to ask, Dmo Xian's expression revealed some unkind intentions. Pursing his thin lips, he bent down slowly and kissed her lips. Then, he headed in the direction of the chaotic crowd. That was the direction of Bai Mei from the Palace of Darkness. There weren't many people from the Dark Nether Palace who came this time. The surrounding large powerhouses had long gone crazy over the so-called secret of the Divine Emperor's tomb. How could the Dark Nether Palace's disciples stop them? It could be said that Bai Mei had been abused so badly that it was unbearable to watch. She was almost on her last breath. And on her body, there was nothing related to the Divine Emperor's tomb. Chapter 44-59. The people of the major forces were also anxious. The more anxious they were, the more irritable they became. His actions became more and more crude. You bitch, are you toying with us? Hurry up and hand it over. Your father has no interest in wasting time with you. Unable to bear it any longer, one of the faction leaders was so furious that his veins bulged. He had his doubts. Could it be that Huangfu family's young master had joined forces with Yi Qing Luo to make fun of them? Pa! In the chaos, something creased Bai Mei's face. Then, a thin layer of human skin peeled off from Bai Mei's face. Bai Mei's face became extremely sinister and terrifying. F***ck. Ugly monster. Scared me to death. Someone was startled by Bai Mei's face. After cursing, She slapped Bai Mei's face with her palm. The people from the various forces who were too close to Bai Mei also felt a chill run down their spines when they saw her horrifying mangled face. Especially when he thought about how he had purposely taken advantage of that ugly monster just now. He suddenly felt a chill in his heart. He could not find the slightest clue regarding the Divine Sovereign's tomb on her. He was disgusted again. Killing intent immediately surged in the hearts of many profound practitioners. He just wanted to kill this disgusting and ugly monster. This thought came to mind. Several palm winds filled with murderous intent shot out. Bai Mei screamed in despair. Just when she thought she was going to die. Suddenly, a profound wave attacked. She pushed away all the people from the major forces who had surrounded her. Bai Mei was still in a state of shock. She opened her eyes and looked over. She saw a shimmering purple figure standing in front of her. Bai Mei's eyes widened. Master Overlord. She was so happy that tears almost flowed out of her eyes. The Overlord had saved her. The Overlord had saved her. What did that mean? This meant that the Sovereign actually had feelings for her. Di Zun did not want her to die. However, the next moment, a white shadow appeared in Bai Mei's eyes. The illusory figure pounced directly at her face. Bai Mei's expression suddenly turned to one of horror. You, the words were not spoken in time. His words stopped abruptly. His entire body stiffened and fell to the ground. After Bai Mei fell to the ground, Dmo Xian merely flicked his sleeves and directly brought him to the side of Yi Qing Luo and the others. Following that, he returned to Yi Qing Luo's side. Dmo Xian's sudden action. The group of people looked at him in confusion. Why did Di Zun save Bai Mei? Bai Mei was a clown who kept circling around Yi Qing Luo's side. Yi Qing Luo also had the same question. Of course, she would not say that she suspected that there was something between Dmo Xian and Bai Mei. She was just curious as to why he would do that. Did it have anything to do with the sudden change in his mood? Facing Yi Qing Luo's curious gaze, Dmo Xian looked down at her. Want to know why I saved her? Yi Qing Luo tilted her head and suddenly stretched out her hand, pressing on his arm. What do you have here? She was extremely fast. His 5 fingers accurately grasped a piece of white jade in his sleeve. It was extremely cold to the touch. Yi Qing Luo frowned slightly. Just as he was about to ask, that piece of white jade shook violently. Then, a white shadow floated out of the white jade. That figure seemed like it was going to dissipate with the wind. Yi Qing Luo frowned, and after identifying for a long time, she spoke with uncertainty. Bai Su. Chapter 4460. Yes. Bai Su. That white jade pendant was Bai Su. Yi Qing Luo seemed to have seen a white shadow in Dmo Xian's sleeves. She didn't expect it to be Bai Su. Yi Qing Luo expressed, how did it feel to know that her man was carrying another woman with him? Well, she really didn't know how to describe this feeling. After all, the other party was Bai Su. To Dmo Xian. He was a senior that he respected. Bai Su would be here. It was not difficult for Yi Qing Luo to understand the reason why Dmo Xian took action. Presumably, Bai Su would place her soul on a piece of white jade for Dmo Xian to bring to the heavenly realm. It was for Bai Mei. Bai Mei was her only sister. I'm sorry. Bai Su's illusory figure was a little gloomy, as if a gust of wind would blow it away. I didn't mean to make things difficult for you, but I can't watch her make mistakes again and again. Yi Qing Luo pursed her lips. She has made enough mistakes. I know. Bai Su hurriedly said, I don't expect you to forgive her, but she has already become like this. It is already the cruelest punishment. You should be very clear that everything she has done, even if she dies 100 times, she can't pay for it. Yi Qing Luo's voice was a little cold. In order to maintain her beauty, how many young girls has she killed? How many girls' faces have she peeled off? Bai Su was speechless. Of course she knew. Bai Mei's sins could not be washed away. I have already given her a chance at the balance historian. Yi Qing Luo opened her mouth again, and the price of this opportunity is that she repeatedly made use of the people around me, to hurt me, colluding with the people from Gloomy Palace to deal with me. And countless young ladies' blood. Bai Su, you can't ask me to let Bai Mei off just because Xian respects you. This is unfair to me, unfair to the people around me, unfair to those who have died. Yi Qing Luo was very clear how much Dmo Xian was struggling in his heart. She deliberately pushed Bai Mei out. It was to use other people's hands to get rid of Bai Mei. She had also considered Bai Su's relationship. But she didn't expect that Bai Su would personally come to the heavenly realm. So, she pushed Bai Mei out. Dmo Xian understood what she was thinking. I don't want her to be disappointed. Under Bai Su's pleading, he had no choice but to help. Yi Qing Luo was angry for Dmo Xian. Bai Su's soul became fainter and fainter. As though he was unable to face Yi Qing Luo's questions. Her figure had already dimmed and disappeared into thin air. Yi Qing Luo took a look at Bai Mei, who had her eyes shut and retracted her vision. Angry? Dmo Xian circled her waist and rested his chin on her shoulder. Yi Qing Luo pursed her lips. If it were you, wouldn't you be angry? Dmo Xian sighed. I know, so, you can totally kill her, Bai Su will not blame you. Yi Qing Luo rolled her eyes at him. Bai Su has already done so much. If I really kill Bai Mei, wouldn't that be too heartless? She paused, and her voice suddenly became serious. However, it's up to her whether she wants to live or not. Dmo Xian's thin lips brushed past her skin. All that was left was a ball of scorching heat. He chuckled softly, his eyes full of tenderness. He naturally knew. The words that Yi Qing Luo said earlier. All of them were standing on his side, speaking up for him. His little Luo, was really very cute. Chapter 44-61. It was a farce. The people from the surrounding forces were all stunned on the spot. Originally they thought that Bai Mei was intentionally used by Yi Qing Luo to tease them. But Di Zun had saved Bai Mei. At that moment, the crowd began to imagine endlessly. Could it be that the item was really with Bai Mei? Otherwise, why would Di Zun make a move? They actually didn't manage to find it. Damn slut. Damn Abyss Palace. On the other side, Huangfu Zhangdong's expression was practically dark to the extreme. A bastard was indeed a bastard. He would only side with outsiders. Such a person wasn't fit to be a member of the Huangfu clan. Father, that bastard doesn't know how to think for the Huangfu family. Huangfu Dongyu knew very well what his father was thinking. I wonder why grandfather wants to bring him back to the Huangfu family. Huangfu Zhangdong's eyes were gloomy. Huangfu Dongyu persisted. Father, he has a close relationship with Yi Qing Luo. That time in the Earth realm, it was Yi Qing Luo who added fuel to the fire, hence grandfather valued Pei Xing so much. I'm guessing, could all these be Yi Qing Luo's conspiracy? She wants to make use of Pei Xing, to deal with our Huangfu family? After all, he had been a son for more than 20 years. As soon as these words came out, that was to directly stab Huangfu Zhangdong's heart. Huangfu Zhangdong looked at Huangfu Sheng with eyes full of resentment. Father, why don't we take this opportunity to expel Pei Xing from the Huangfu family? He was the one who chose to leave with Yi Qing Luo in front of everyone. Even if grandfather knew about it, he can't blame us. Huangfu Dongyu took the opportunity to come up with an idea. Initially, Huangfu Dongyu didn't care about Pei Xing. Because of a bastard, a weak and cowardly man. Even with his grandfather's support, there was no need to take it to heart. However, after Pei Xing arrived at the Huangfu clan, in just half a month, he had subdued the hearts of the entire Huangfu family. He had also stabilized his position in the Huangfu family. This made Huangfu Dongyu, the young master of the Huangfu clan and the future successor, feel uneasy. He had a feeling that Pei Xing's appearance would change their Huangfu clan. This premonition, plus the relationship between Pei Xing and Yiqing Luo. Huangfu Dongyu viewed Pei Xing as a thorn in his side. Now, he finally had a chance to get rid of Pei Xing. Of course, he had to seize this opportunity. In front of all the major forces. He had tricked the Huangfu clan and the public. Moreover, he took the initiative to follow Yiqing Luo. Even if Huangfu Zhentian wanted to blame someone, it wouldn't be him. Huangfu Zhangdong also had the same thought. Bai Mei had already been brought to the other side by Dmo Xian. The crowd naturally did not dare to ask Dmo Xian for him. After Huangfu Zhangdong called his men back, Huang Xiaolong's expression changed. He displayed his patriarch's prestige as he looked at Huangfu Xing with a solemn and cold expression. Pei Xing, whatever divine emperor's tomb secret, you and Yiqing Luo colluded together, right? He sneered and glanced at Bai Mei, who was lying on the ground with her eyes closed. How could an abandoned pawn of the Palace of Gloomy Shadows get the secrets of the divine emperor's tomb? From what I see, the secret of the divine emperor's tomb, right from the start, is on Yiqing Luo, right? Huangfu Xing's expression was calm, and he didn't feel the slightest bit of displeasure from Huangfu Zhangdong calling him Pei Xing. What you want to know, I've already said it. Whether you believe it or not, it's your problem, it has nothing to do with me. But, the thing that you promised me, please do it. The fastest update speed, hurry up and read it. Download address, cell phone reading. Chapter 4462. Huangfu Xing's words paused slightly. The corners of his lips curled into a faint arc. His gaze was like a torch as it met Huangfu Zhangdong's eyes. I think the dignified patriarch of the Huangfu family would not do that. Go back on his words, right? You. Before Huangfu Zhangdong could give Huangfu Xing a rebuke, he was so infuriated by these words that he almost threw up blood. Pei Xing, what contributions have you made for the Huangfu family? Even now, you obviously have a close relationship with Yiqing Luo, but you still didn't fight for the Huangfu family's benefits. Huangfu Dongyu comforted Huangfu Zhangdong as he spoke on behalf of him. What right do you have to move your mother's memorial tablet to the Huangfu Ancestral Hall? You don't have the right and neither does your mother. Huangfu Dongyu. Huangfu Xing's indifferent mood was suddenly broken at this moment. His eyes were filled with rage. Ah Sheng. Gu Zishi hurriedly hugged Huangfu Xing's arm to prevent him from getting angry. What Huangfu Xing couldn't tolerate was the Huangfu family's people commenting on his mother. This was his reverse scale. And Huangfu Dongyu obviously knew about this. He intentionally brought it up at this moment. He wanted to infuriate Huangfu Xing. If Huangfu Xing really flew into a rage and did something irreversible, this would only fall into Huangfu Dongyu's trap. What a joke. A desperate woman who wanted to marry an outsider, slept with a wild man, and while the family was busy with the war, she secretly left the family with the wild man. This kind of woman also wants to enter our Huangfu family's ancestral hall? The more Huangfu Dongyu spoke, the more outrageous his words were. You, this bastard, have no right to become a Huangfu family's member, not to mention your shameless mother. Bam! A loud slap resounded through the entire Tianya Ridge, like a sudden clap of thunder. Huangfu Dongyu's body flew out directly, crashing heavily onto the ground. Dongyu. Huangfu Zhangdong looked at his eldest son, like a kite with a broken string, crashing heavily onto the ground. He cried out in shock and immediately called for someone to help him up. When Huangfu Dongyu was carried over, Huangfu Zhangdong saw the obvious palm print on his face. Pei Xing. Huangfu Zhangdong was angered to the point his eyes turned scarlet red, and he glared fiercely at Huangfu Xing. This bastard actually dared to touch his son in front of him. He really did not put him, the current patriarch, in his eyes. Now, he even dared to be so bold. Would it be in the future? They even wanted to usurp his position as the family head? Huangfu Xing was also dumbfounded by this scene. he admitted. Huangfu Dongyu's words just now, it had already provoked him. He was indeed furious. He clearly knew that Huangfu Dongyu was deliberately provoking him, but he still couldn't help but want to attack Huangfu Dongyu. However, he was held tightly by Gu Zishi. There was no chance for him to make a move. If he forcefully made a move, he would definitely hurt Gu Zishi. There was no need for him to hurt the woman he loved just to beat up a scumbag. Therefore, who was the one who taught Huangfu Dongyu a lesson? Huangfu Xing subconsciously looked towards Yi Qing Luo. But he saw Yi Qing Luo leaning in Dmo Xian's arms, with a carefree look on her face. It wasn't Yi Qing Luo. Then who could it be? Huangfu Zhangdong, I didn't expect that after so many years, you still haven't changed at all. The cold and deep voice, in this silence, was extremely clear to the ears. The fastest update speed, hurry up and read it. Download address, phone reading. Chapter 4463. That voice was as cold as ice. As though it was wrapped in ice-cold frost. Not a single trace of emotion could be heard from it. Immediately following that, a tall and straight figure walked out from behind Yi Qing Luo. That was an 18 to 19-year-old young man, dressed in black, and his imposing manner wasn't weak at all. But that young man's face was unprepossessing. Especially that pair of eyes which resembled a wild beast. When it swept past Huangfu Zhangdong, it was like a prey which had been targeted by a wild beast. There is a kind of creepy feeling. That young man, could be said. In Yi Qing Luo's group, each of them were as beautiful as flowers, outstanding and outstanding. He was a different kind of existence. Especially since right from the start till the end, there was an innocent and harmless, mischievous and beautiful lady who stuck beside him. The surrounding large forces had some impression of this young man. But even if the young man's looks were unprepossessing, but when he stood in that group, he didn't feel out of place. Previously they hadn't noticed it. Now when they walked out alone, the imposing manner which the young man was emitting was comparable to many of the large forces present. What are you? How dare you call Patriarch Huangfu by his name? Huangfu family's guard berated him sternly. Huangfu Zhangdong's brows creased tightly as he stared deadly at the young man. That face was extremely unfamiliar. But that pair of eyes. He was very familiar. Earlier the voice and tone was so familiar that it made him. Huangfu Zhangdong's expression suddenly turned cold. Huangfu Jin. He was practically gritting his teeth as he spat out these three words. Huangfu Jin. Huangfu Dongyu, who was on the verge of fainting, after hearing this name. His entire being awoke. He pressed the wrist of the person who was supporting him tightly as he endured the pain in his body and looked over there. His gaze fell upon that unprepossessing, ordinary-looking young man. His pupils abruptly widened. Fifth brother. The young man, who was Qiao Jin's attitude towards the both of them, revealed a cold smile. Why? So shocked to see me? Did you think that in this lifetime, I would never be able to return? His tone was filled with ridicule. No. How could you? Huangfu Dongyu opened his mouth and pulled the swollen muscles on his face, causing him to salivate from the pain. It's you who hit me. Qiao Jin cast a disdainful glance at him. Huangfu Zhangdong won't teach you how to behave, so I'll teach you what it means to respect your elders. He snorted coldly and continued, Huangfu Sheng is my cousin, and his mother is Huangfu Zhangdong's younger sister, which is also your aunt. Who taught you, as a junior, to insult your elders like this? Then who taught you? As a son, how dare you call your father by his name? Huangfu Zhangdong's furious voice interrupted him. Son. Qiao Jin's eyes were filled with ridicule. 10 years ago, didn't you expel me from the Huangfu clan and remove my name from the clan records? Huangfu Zhangdong was both furious and shocked, his face flushed red while his chest rose and fell violently. Qiao Jin didn't care about his thoughts at all. He calmly and indifferently emphasized, "Now, my name is Qiao Jin. Huangfu Jin died 10 years ago." This series of episodes. It caused the people from the surrounding forces to be a little dumbfounded. What kind of situation was this now? Weren't they here to snatch the divine phoenix profound heart jade and find out the secrets of the divine emperor's tomb? Why did it become a drama now, a family scandal? Hurry up and read the latest update. Download address, phone reading. Chapter 44-64. They weren't interested. They only wanted the divine phoenix profound heart jade and the secrets of the divine emperor's tomb. Wasn't the style changing a little too fast? However, this Huangfu clan was truly strange. One was young Master Huangfu, who had just been brought back by the old patriarch. The other was the son that the current patriarch Huangfu had personally acknowledged. Both of them actually had a close relationship with Yiqing Luo. This level of secrecy had almost reached the level of the degree of intimate friendship. He didn't even know how to make good use of such a relationship. Was the Huangfu family stupid? On the contrary, he even spoke ill of those two. Could it be, this must be a conspiracy? He was deliberately putting on a show in front of them. Following that, he quietly helped the Huangfu family to find out news regarding the God Emperor's tomb from Yiqing Luo or the Overlord. In the minds of the crowd, a large number of conspiracy theories immediately popped up. All of them were guessing, after leaving the Tianya Ridge. He sent his men to surround the Huangfu family. Who cares if it's one of the 4 great clans? Nothing was more important than the secret of the divine emperor's tomb. As for the divine phoenix profound heart jade. Could the Overlord protect Yiqing Luo all day long? As long as they caught the chance of Yiqing Luo being alone. Why would he be afraid of not being able to handle a little girl? In any case, when the time came, it would all depend on their own abilities. And, even if His Majesty pursued the matter. So many people wanted to obtain the divine phoenix profound heart jade. How would the Overlord know who was the one who made a move against Yiqing Luo? Thinking like this, the people of the major forces decided to retreat now. Di Zun was here to hold the fort. It would be a waste of time for them to stay here. Look at Di Zun's attitude of exterminating an entire clan at the slightest disagreement. They must be stupid to think of using their numbers to fight against the Di Zun. As a result, when Huangfu Zhangdong and Xiao Jin were confronting each other, the people of the major forces dispersed in an uproar. Yiqing Luo, Dmo Xian, the group, didn't they want to snatch the divine phoenix profound heart jade? Didn't they want to gang up on her and snatch the secrets of the divine emperor's tomb? Why did he give up so quickly? They had sacrificed so many elites to climb to the inner region of the Tianya Ridge. Was he willing to give up so easily? She had painstakingly recovered her strength, but she hadn't had the time to do anything yet. Couldn't they fight and then retreat? All she wanted was a fight. I just want to be defeated. No matter how Yiqing Luo howled in her heart. The originally crowded Tianya Ridge was filled with people as far as the eye could see. In just a moment, it became empty again. More and more people were leaving. On Huangfu Zhangdong's side, his heart was beating faster and faster. When they were the only ones left in the Tianya Ridge, they were the only ones left. Huangfu Zhangdong felt a chill run down his spine. Could it be that unfilial son, Huangfu Jin, was planning to take this opportunity to get the Overlord to get rid of the Huangfu family? Huangfu Zhangdong wanted to lead his men away. However, when he met Xiao Jin's mocking gaze, Huangfu Xing was calm and indifferent, as though he was looking down at him from above. Huangfu Dongyu's low groans of pain could also be heard. He simply couldn't lift his feet to leave. If he left with the crowd, if word of this got out, their Huangfu clan would lose all face. Furthermore, letting Huangfu Jin and Pei Xing off so easily, it would only make the both of them join forces and become even more arrogant. Huangfu Jin was back. Huangfu family was going to be in turmoil. He absolutely would not allow the position which belonged to him to be snatched away by others. Even if that person was his son, it was still the same. The fastest update speed, hurry up and read it. Download address, cell phone reading. Chapter 4465. In particular, what happened back then, must not be discovered. Huangfu Zhangdong's eyes shot out a treacherous cold light. But Xiao Jin completely ignored his thoughts. He grabbed Huangfu Sheng's arm and said, "Let's go." Huangfu Sheng was confused. He looked at Xiao Jin in astonishment. He hadn't had the time to digest the conversation between him and Huangfu Zhangdong. Xiao Jin was Huangfu Zhangdong's son. Xiao Jin was Huangfu Jin. The two of them are cousins? What kind of godly development was this? Huangfu Sheng was still in a dazed state as he obediently allowed Xiao Jin to pull him back to where Yiqing Luo and the others were. Yiqing Luo looked at his dazed look in ridicule as she couldn't help but laughed. "Haven't regained your senses yet? You knew about it long ago?" Huangfu Sheng looked at Yiqing Luo in a daze. Yiqing Luo shot a glance at Xiao Jin. "I indeed knew his identity very early on." Yiqing Luo's words had just landed. Long Yunzhan's indifferent voice rang out, "I didn't expect that. Jin Zi was actually someone from the heaven realm. After such a long time, he actually didn't tell us. They had been together for so many years. They had experienced so many life and death situations together. Only today did he know Xiao Jin's true identity." Xiao Jin raised his eyebrows and replied calmly, "You didn't tell anyone that you're a dragon, did you?" "Same here." Long Yunzhan, in their devil class, in the world mercenary group, just how many people were there, and how many secrets were they hiding? "Alright, let's talk about acknowledging relatives after we leave Tianya Ridge." Yiqing Luo lazily leaned into Dmo Xian's arms. "Let's go." No one had any objections. During the few days in the Tianya Ridge, they couldn't wait to leave this place. In such a place, they couldn't sleep or eat. They were always on tenterhooks and worried. He could finally heave a sigh of relief. Although those large powerhouses in the outside world were still eyeing Yiqing Luo covetously. However, Di Zun was still here. It was more or less able to suppress some ambitious but cowardly people. As for those with ambition and courage, they came forward to serve as cannon fodder to warn the others. The group of people were having fun. He walked towards the exit of the Tianya Ridge. He had completely disregarded the Huangfu clan. It was an extremely relaxed conversation. This caused Huangfu Zhangdong's expression to become even darker and more terrifying. This group of brats didn't even put him or the entire Huangfu clan in their eyes. Allowing the two bastards of the Huangfu family to strut around in front of him and then leave so easily? Huangfu Jin. Pei Sheng. Stop right there. Huangfu Changdong shouted with a grim voice that was filled with rage. The two of them, who were walking side by side, stopped at the same time. They looked at each other. After that, they simultaneously looked at Huangfu Zhangdong. "I solemnly warn you on behalf of the Huangfu family. If you leave with her today, the two of you will be completely erased from the Huangfu family. Neither of you are from the Huangfu clan." Huangfu Zhangdong gnashed his teeth and shouted word by word. There wasn't much emotion on Xiao Jin's ordinary face. His lips curled into a sneer. "I'm not a member of the Huangfu clan to begin with. If Patriarch Huangfu is old, then you should abdicate your position as soon as possible. Don't monopolize this position. You bastard." Huangfu Zhangdong pointed at Xiao Jin as he berated, Good. Very good, since you don't treat yourself as a member of the Huangfu clan, then. Even if you're in the heaven realm, don't appear in front of old master. ***5. Update, end of this chapter, the fastest update speed, hurry up and read it. TXT download address, phone reading. Chapter 4466. Hearing this, Qiao Jin couldn't help but laugh. This is your goal. To Huangfu Zhangdong. Qiao Jin was the biggest stumbling block. If he appeared in the Huangfu family, the old man and the older generation of the Huangfu family, they would definitely let him return to the Huangfu family as the heir, the young master of the Huangfu family. Because Qiao Jin was recognized by the ancestors as the heir of the Huangfu family. Because he had a pair of pure golden pupils. So what? As long as he didn't want to give up power. As long as Qiao Jin still hated the Huangfu family. Qiao Jin would never inherit the Huangfu family. Even if he, Huangfu Zhangdong, abdicated in the future. It was absolutely impossible to let Qiao Jin inherit the position of the Huangfu family head. Huangfu Zhangdong's face was cold. If you still want to see the old man, go back with me now. Go back? Qiao Jin's lips curled up in ridicule. You guys went to pick me up several times, saying that you want me to return to the Huangfu family, but when did you really let me go back? His eyes suddenly narrowed. The cold light reflected was like that of a ferocious beast, shocking people. Are you sure you want me to go back? You. Huangfu Zhangdong's body stiffened. He said this because he knew that Qiao Jin's hatred for him, for the Huangfu family, and knew that he wouldn't come back. He would say this. It was just because he was in the right. But Qiao Jin's reply caused him to be unable to continue the conversation for a moment. On the other side, Huangfu Xing's voice sounded, Patriarch Huangfu is indeed old. He has even forgotten that I have changed my name to Huangfu Sheng and entered the Huangfu family's genealogy book. Huangfu Zhangdong's expression suddenly froze. Both of them were stubbornly insisting that he was old. Could it really be like what Dongyu said? They actually wanted to take over the entire Huangfu family? This thought made Huangfu Zhangdong look at the two with more suspicion. Huangfu Sheng continued to say, however, based on how clan leader Huangfu addressed me as Pei Sheng, I'm sure you've never regarded me as a member of the Huangfu clan. Therefore, it's reasonable that I'm unwilling to follow you back to the Huangfu clan. Since Patriarch Huangfu isn't sincere and wants to invite us back, why are you putting on an act? Huangfu Sheng's words were extremely sharp. Huangfu Zhangdong's face was almost covered by dark clouds. Pei Sheng. He gritted his teeth and shouted the name. Good. Good. Did the both of you really think that by doing this, you are showing your loyalty to Yi Qing Luo and the Overlord? As the current patriarch of the Huangfu family. I'm telling you, if you don't return to the Huangfu family today, don't even think about taking another step into the Huangfu family. A clear chuckle suddenly rang out after these stern and dignified words were spoken. That laughter was filled with mockery and ridicule. Shortly after, the young lady who had been watching the show lazily walked out. Her steps were even. Her footwork was graceful. Every single one of her movements revealed her noble and indolence. Patriarch Huangfu. The young lady's clear voice was very pleasant to the ears. Especially in this quiet dense forest, it seemed as though there was a faint echo. As for Jin Zi and Sheng, they have never expressed their loyalty to me. To me, they are my comrades who fight side by side. Her smile became even more devilish and devilish. 6. Update, end of this chapter, the fastest update speed, hurry up and read it. Download address, phone reading. Chapter 4467. As for whether to return to the Huangfu family, it's not up to you to decide. Yi Qing Luo's voice paused slightly as her smile became even more alluring. Her long and narrow eyes lifted upwards like a blooming datura flower. She said it word by word confidently, if they want to go to the Huangfu family, I will bring them there. If they want to meet old Master Huangfu, I will bring them there. Her words paused slightly again. Immediately after, her eyes congealed. His smile also became more and more intense, and there was a bit of an oppressive aura. Even if they want Huangfu family, you must also give up with The last 4 words, Yi Qing Luo spat it out one word at a time. Arrogant and confident to the extreme. Her words were arrogant, as though she just wanted to get something unimportant. Huangfu Zhangdong's face was as black as charcoal. His eyes were filled with treacherous coldness. What a big tone. His gaze was sharp. Yi Qing Luo, do you really think that you can rely on the protection of the overlord to be so arrogant? Do you think Huangfu family's foundation is something that you can destroy? Huangfu family was after all one of the 4 great families. Wasn't Yi Qing Luo thinking of things too simply? In the end, she's just a child. Huangfu Zhangdong's eyes were cold as his gaze swept past Dmo Xian. Following that, he suppressed the surging hatred in his chest. Yi Qing Luo, you won't be complacent for long. You'd better follow the overlord closely, otherwise. He gave a cold laugh as he didn't need to say anything. Let's go. Huangfu Zhangdong flicked his sleeves as he headed in the opposite direction of Yi Qing Luo and the rest. Behind him, a young lady's cold laughter was heard. That laughter was like the ringing of a bell, extremely melodious. But when it fell into Huangfu Zhangdong's ears, it was like a fiery slap on his face. Because Yi Qing Luo's laughter was obviously ridiculing them for escaping. Patriarch Huangfu, I'll quietly wait for your good news in the Gu residence. If Patriarch Huangfu is unable to suppress my complacency even after a long time, it's very possible that I'll become complacent and personally bring Jin Zi and a Sheng to the Huangfu clan to cause trouble. The young girl's laughing voice entered Huangfu Zhangdong's ears along with the breeze. Huangfu Zhangdong's footsteps came to a halt. He tightly clenched his fists and angrily strode forward. *TCH who relied on his majesty to be arrogant and despotic. One day, he would crush her like an ant, ruthlessly crushing her to death. Yi Qing Luo's group walked out of Heaven Cliff Ridge smoothly. Outside the Tianya Ridge stood a large number of people from various forces. However, the people from these forces were clearly much weaker than the group of people he had met in the Horizon Ridge. When he saw the group of people coming out, all of them retreated nervously. It was as if he had seen some dreadful beast. It was likely that the people who had left the Tianya Ridge had told everyone about what had happened inside. Because of that, when the crowd saw Yi Qing Luo and Bai Mei who was being carried out, their eyes were filled with unconcealable greed and also filled with cautious fear. Yi Qing Luo and the rest couldn't be bothered to waste time with these people. Under the various gazes from the crowd, they left the Horizon Ridge and headed straight towards the Gu residence. Eldest young miss. The minute Gu Yun saw Yi Qing Luo's figure, she welcomed her with joy. When she dashed in front of Yi Qing Luo, her gaze fell onto Yi Qing Luo's side, as well as the group of people behind. Chapter 4468. She was shocked and immediately bowed respectfully. Lord Dizun. Yi Qing Luo looked around the Gu residence. The Gu residence had not changed much from when she had left. Gu Yun knew that the person beside her was the overlord. This meant that Gu Yun had long heard about the rumors regarding her, as well as what happened at Tianya Ridge. She pulled Gu Yun over and asked directly, "Where's the barbaric blood king?" When these 4 words came out of her mouth, Gu Yun's expression changed as she shook her head at her. After that, she whispered, "Bone Lord is not in the residence now." Not in? Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes. Really? Absolutely. Gu Yun nodded with certainty. Bone Lord has indeed been in the Gu residence for the past few days. However, he seemed to have received some news this morning and left the Gu residence early in the morning. He only told me to bring a message to you, First Miss. Yi Qing Luo frowned slightly. She came back from Tianya Ridge. It was to see the barbaric blood king. It was the barbaric blood king who brought her to the heaven realm. And it was the barbaric blood king who told the world the secret that she had the divine phoenix profound heart jade. Even the divine emperor's tomb was told to the world. There were some things that she had to ask clearly. And only the barbaric blood king could give her an answer. She thought that such a thing had happened. Bai Mei also said that the barbaric Blood King had completely severed ties with the people behind the secluded palace because of the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade and the Divine Emperor's tomb being exposed. By right, the barbaric Blood King should have returned to the Gu residence. But, he left the Gu residence early in the morning? Was it because he felt guilty to her, so he didn't dare to see her? But how could he be so sure that she could come out of Tianya Ridge today? And how could he be so sure that she could return safely in the midst of so many people, the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade and the Divine Emperor's tomb? Yi Qing Luo pursed her pink lips slightly and asked, "What did he say?" Bone Lord said that he knew First Miss wouldn't forgive his mistake. The consequences of this matter were too complicated and serious. He hoped that First Miss could stay by His Majesty's side at all times. Even if she went to the toilet or took a bath, try not to be alone. Bone Monarch also said that this matter was caused by him and that he would take responsibility until the end. He did not ask for Eldest Miss's forgiveness and only hoped that Eldest Miss would not resent him because of this. At this point, Guyun paused again. She carefully sized up Yi Qing Luo's expression, trying to guess her current thoughts. Actually, Bone Lord never had any ill intentions towards Eldest Mississippi, recalling when Bone Lord mentioned Yi Qing Luo, that nostalgic and desolate expression. Guyun could not help but want to speak up for her master. This servant has never seen such a self-blaming and dejected Bone Lord. After the incident, his heart is actually more tormented than anyone else. Seeing that Yi Qing Luo didn't reply for a long time, Guyun couldn't help but continued. During this period of time, various powerhouses were discussing on how to find you and get what they wanted from you. After Bone Lord heard about it, he even killed several powerhouses' people in public. But, no matter how much Guyun said, Yi Qing Luo's expression didn't have much change. Guyun was a little frustrated as she helplessly sighed. This servant knows that I shouldn't say these words, but I just don't wish for there to be a huge misunderstanding between Eldest Miss and Bone Lord. I know. Yi Qing Luo raised her hand and patted her shoulder. Whether to forgive him or not, we can only talk after we settle the matter face to face. Chapter 4469. Guyun lowered her head. Bone Monarch had one last thing to say. He said that the questions you want to ask him can be found in the token he gave you. Token? Yi Qing Luo reached into her sleeves. She took out the token that the Blood-Bone Barbarian King had given her to summon the Bone Mansion. Was there the answer she wanted on it? Did the barbaric Blood-Bone King know what she wanted to ask? He was staring at the token. Suddenly, a large palm reached out from behind her and grabbed her little hand that was holding the token. "All right, I've just returned. Have a good rest." The man's broad chest covered her delicate body. The elegant sandalwood fragrance and warmth enveloped her. He kept that token back into Yi Qing Luo's sleeve. "Even if you're not tired, your bunch of brothers should be tired." "Yes, yes. Eldest Miss must be tired. This servant will get someone to prepare now." After Guyun finished speaking, she counted the number of people and quickly retreated. Yi Qing Luo was in Dmo Xian's embrace as she turned around to face him. She stretched out her hands and hooked them around the man's neck. The man exerted a little strength in his arms and held the girl in his arms. He hurriedly walked to the hall not far ahead. When Yi Qing Luo's gaze swept past the wide-open Gu residence's main door, her eyes flashed past a sharp glint. Outside the door, on a seemingly normal street. But, every corner, or passers-by. When he looked at the Bone Mansion, their eyes were filled with greed and vigilance. Clearly, the entire Gu mansion had already been targeted by the various large factions. No wonder Dmo Xian stopped her from continuing the discussion with Guyun earlier. Soon, Guyun made the arrangements. A servant led Yan Xiao Yi and the rest to the guest room. Dmo Xian carried Yi Qing Luo as they returned to Yi Qing Luo's room in the Gu residence. There was no one to lead the way. Yi Qing Luo didn't lead the way. But Dmo Xian had accurately located her room. Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but curled her lips as she gave a teasing smile. How did Xian know? This is my room. Could it be that before Xian came to the heaven realm to look for me, he specially came to my room? Dmo Xian lowered his head. His obsidian eyes reflected the girl's picturesque face. He slowly bent down. Just a finger's distance away from Yi Qing Luo's lips, he stopped. His black hair sprinkled on her face. Like a feather, it gently tugged at her heartstrings. Hot breaths intertwined with each other. It was an ambiguous distance, but the man did not continue to be ambiguous. His nose sniffed her body. His low and hoarse voice had a hint of palpitation that tugged at her heartstrings. There's your scent here. It's very fragrant, Yi Qing Luo. He started flirting again without saying a word. This baby can't take this kind of teasing, hey. If he couldn't take it anymore, he wouldn't be able to take it anymore. Yi Qing Luo's hands around the man's neck suddenly increased in strength. Their lips touched. Dmo Xian's long eyelashes fluttered. In his eyes, there was a playful smile on the girl's face. The expression on his face became gentle. His eyes were filled with love and tenderness. He exerted a little force with his hands. He held the girl's delicate body and deepened the kiss. The fierce and lingering kiss made the temperature of the two rise. The two figures slowly disappeared into the room. When both of them fell onto the soft big bed. The man's hand was propped up on the side of the bed. From Yi Qing Luo's angle, she looked at the man's handsome and elegant face. She only felt that this man was enough to make the sun, moon, and stars lose their splendor. Her eyes were filled with a smile, welcoming the man's even more aggressive kiss. 9. End of this chapter. The fastest update speed. Hurry up and read it. Download address. Chapter 4470. But, just as the two of them were about to continue, Yi Qing Luo's hand suddenly pressed against Dmo Xian's chest. Xian, wait. The young lady's voice was very soft, and between her long and narrow eyes, there was a gorgeous color. Dmo Xian's eyes congealed slightly, suppressing the heat surging in his lower abdomen. It seems, something is a bit strange, Yi Qing Luo said lightly. The two of them stopped moving. Coincidentally, they turned their heads and looked to the side. Only to see the quilt at the foot of the bed, slightly protruding, revealing a pair of red eyes. Seeing the two of them looking over at the same time. That eye, in a swoosh, hid in the quilt. Yi Qing Luo. The man turned over and got up. She sat up and directly lifted the quilt. A fluffy red bird, curled up at the foot of the bed. After the quilt was lifted, the bird spread its wings, intending to fly away. Yi Qing Luo stretched out and grabbed its wings. Qi Yan. Where was the tone of the previous gentle and lovely tone? That gloomy tone was obviously angry after a good thing was disturbed. Qi Yan fluttered its little claws which had been cured, howling incessantly. Why are you angry at this sacred beast? This sacred beast did not stay here on purpose. It's you who barged in without any explanation. This sacred beast had not had time to speak, and you. Qi Yan felt extremely aggrieved. Repeat 500 words, change in 10 minutes moi. But, just as the two of them were about to continue, Yi Qing Luo's hand suddenly pressed against Dmo Xian's chest. Xian, wait. The young lady's voice was very soft, and between her long and narrow eyes, there was a gorgeous color. Dmo Xian's eyes slightly congealed, suppressing the surging heat in his lower abdomen. It seems, there is something a bit strange, Yi Qing Luo said lightly. The two of them stopped moving. Coincidentally, they turned their heads and looked to the side. Only to see the quilt at the foot of the bed, slightly protruding, revealing a pair of red eyes. Seeing the two of them looking over at the same time. That eye, in a swoosh, hid in the quilt. Yi Qing Luo. The man turned over and got up. She sat up and lifted the quilt. A fluffy red bird curled up at the foot of the bed. After the bedding was lifted, the bird flapped its wings, intending to fly away. Yiqing Luo stretched out her hand and grabbed its wings. Qi Yen. Her tone was no longer as gentle and charming as before. That gloomy expression was obviously the result of anger from embarrassment after his good deed was interrupted. Qi Yen fluttered its little claws that had been healed and cried out, "Why are you being so fierce to this holy beast? I didn't stay here on purpose. You were the ones who barged in without any explanation. Before this sacred beast could say anything, you. Qi Yen felt extremely wronged. However, just as the two of them were about to continue, Yiqing Luo's hands suddenly pressed against Dmo Xian's chest. Xian, wait. The young girl's voice was very gentle, and her long and narrow eyes were filled with a gorgeous color. Dmo Xian's pupils congealed as he suppressed the surging heat in his lower abdomen. There seems to be something strange. Yiqing Luo gasped lightly. The two of them stopped moving. Coincidentally, they turned their heads and looked to the side, only to see the quilt at the foot of the bed, slightly protruding, revealing a pair of red eyes. Seeing the two of them looking over at the same time. The fastest update speed. Hurry up and read it. Download address, mobile phone reading. Chapter 4471. Yiqing Luo got up from the bed. He pulled the neatly folded new clothes to the side and put them on. He tidied up the place. She walked out of the room. It was about 10 o'clock in the morning, so it was about 10 o'clock. Dmo Xian, that pig trotter. Why was he always torturing her until she fell asleep? The next morning, he was nowhere to be seen. What a scumbag setting. Yiqing Luo ridiculed in her heart. But she was also clear that Dmo Xian was definitely rushing about because of her matters. The divine phoenix profound heart jade, the secret of the divine emperor's tomb. No matter which point it was. They were all things that could drive people crazy and greedy. Dmo Xian couldn't possibly stay by her side all the time. However, right now, she was in the Bone residence. Even if Dmo Xian wasn't always around, those people wouldn't dare to do anything to her. For now, it was still safe. After Yiqing Luo came out, Guyun quickly walked over. "Eldest young miss, you're awake?" Yiqing Luo asked, "Are they all awake?" The guests in the first and second rooms in the east wing have already woken up. Aside from the second room, the other guests in the west wing are still resting because they chatted until midnight last night, Guyun replied. The first and second rooms of the east wing were occupied by Zhou Mo, Gue Wu, and Gue Bao. In the west wing, Long Yunzhan and Tong Ziqing were in the second wing. The other guests were referring to Qiao Jin and Huang Fusheng. Just as Yiqing Luo was about to head to the east wing, Guyun suddenly thought of something. "Oh yes, eldest miss, second young master Ren heard that you're back and has been wanting to meet you." Ren Jianming? Oh right, Ren Jianming was still living in the Gu residence. After she was taken away by Zhu Wuxin, a series of events had happened. She had forgotten about Ren Jianming. When she followed Guyun to look for Ren Jianming, Yiqing Luo inquired about everything that had happened in the old city during the period when she wasn't around. After she was taken away by Zhu Wuxin, Ren Jianming's profound grade was crippled, so it was naturally impossible for them to bring him along to search for Yiqing Luo's whereabouts. Therefore, Ren Jianming had been locked up in the Gu residence. Ren Jianming should be in the Gu residence. At first, it didn't cooperate. He was worried about Yiqing Luo and wanted to escape to find out news about her. However, he was caught by Gong Xiazhu this time, and she almost pressed him down in an alley and raped him. Fortunately, Guyun discovered it in time and rushed over with the Gu residence's secret guards, saving Ren Jianming's innocence. After this incident, Ren Jianming was quiet for a while. But after the news of Yiqing Luo's divine phoenix profound heart jade and the divine emperor's tomb spread, all the major forces that had come to participate in the excellence list were in a frenzy. All of them were eyeing Yi Qing Luo covetously. The entire city was in an uproar, researching on how to capture Yi Qing Luo, how to dig out her profound heart jade, how to obtain the secret of the divine emperor's tomb, etc. Ren Jianming panicked again. Once again, he quietly left the Gu residence. This time, he did not meet Gong Shezhu. However, he bumped into Ren Jianying. If not for the fact that Bone Lord had returned early because of the Palace of Gloomy Shadows plotting against him. And because Ren Jianming was someone whom Yi Qing Luo wanted to keep. Bone Lord saved him in passing. Ren Jianming reckoned that he wouldn't be able to live until now. He listened to Gu Yun talk about Ren Jianming's recent matters. Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but sigh, this Ren Jianming is really plagued with disasters. No matter what he did, he would always get into trouble. Today, the Ren family is completely controlled by the eldest miss of the Ren family, and she has also announced the collaboration with the royal family. Guyan continued, according to the informant, the eldest miss of the Ren family might marry into the royal family. You're tuning into the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.